Good evening, one and all present here. Today I'm going to speak about COVID-19 and higher education. The pandemic that has shattered the economies of the world, around the world, has battered the education systems in developed and developing economies. Around 1.5 billion students, close to 90% of the total primary, secondary and tertiary students in the world are no longer able to physically go to school. Educators and educational institutions are trying to find short-term solutions for remote learning in a situation where the educators and the learners around the world are facing the additional challenges of financing and available infrastructures. Whilst each level of education has its unique challenges, it is the higher education that may trigger the learning revolution. University and college students are old enough to face the rigors of online learning and tech savvy to navigate the new platforms. The main challenges lies with the universities and colleges in which these students are enrolled. I can say that there are still many thousands of universities and educational institutions which are following the traditional methods of teaching. So my question is, can these traditional campus-based universities adapt by choosing the right approaches along with right technology to educate and engage their learners? The success and failure that will materialize post-COVID-19 will give us a better grasp of what is possible. If we see around us the situation, the universities are started using the video conferencing apps like WebEx, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, etc. to continue their teaching and learning process. These adoptions of online methods in these recent months has been unprecedented. The educators and the learners are eventually growing up. They are coming forward. I can say the lecturers, the educators, they are coming up, they are growing to upgrade themselves with e-learning methods. And for that, many educational platforms like Coursera, edX that have a global presence can play a very important and a useful role in developing contents for the educators and the learners as well. Some of the partnerships sparked between the universities, the educational companies, online educational companies, and the technology providers, that it will continue beyond pandemic. According to many surveys done till date on online learning in higher education level, the percentage is low, but this post-COVID-19, the scenario will change. Why? Because the appetite from the students for online learning is eventually going to grow post-COVID-19. This I can say that even before this pandemic, there were many universities and educational institutions that were shifting towards e-learning methods. So while the traditional institutions which once viewed the e-learning methods to be a threat has now come to their rescue. Even though the present situation is painful and stressful, but it will bring forth the much needed rebirth of our education systems. If we can see around us that this pandemic, it is now becoming a great leveler for all the stakeholders of the education systems, like educators, learners, policymakers, society at large. If we see, this pandemic is bringing forth our actual education systems, what is the vulnerability and the shortcomings they are facing. In this present situation, for the educators and learners, it is now becoming an indispensable thing to be digitally literate and developed, where in a situation where the social distancing and greater digitalization of services and communication may become a norm. From the many surveys done, from the many researches done, almost every respondent is of a view that e-learning is going to stay, and it is the higher education which will have a stronger contributions, and it will go for years ahead. Thank you.